Welcome to A Course in Miracles and Unity Awareness. Tonight's talk, I'm going to share with you my understanding, my direct experience, and subsequent understanding of the nature of true reality, or the nature of our true self, Christ, or Christ mind. This has been, or what I'm sharing with you tonight, is a culmination of my life's journey, everything I've wanted to understand, the very reason for being, the reason I believe I projected back into form, the reason I believe that after my brain tumor at the age of 33, I woke up in the morgue after having been clinically dead for 4 hours. The work wasn't done. And I now know without a shadow of a doubt that everything I do is for myself, capital S self. But while it plays out through this body-mind character, the jiva, this jiva I appear as, not diva, jiva, um, it benefits this character too. Now, I know this started off as a Course in Miracles group, but by now you all know that I have spent the last 35 years of my life delving into the so-called mysteries, the so-called esoteric and mystical teachings, which culminated in the non-dual understanding. Now, I don't like the word non-dual. I prefer unity awareness. Use the positive instead of the negative. But tonight I'm talking specifically around the essential nature, our truest nature. Now, as I've said before, my teachings are at Ken's top step of the ladder. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not teaching psychotherapy here. I'm not practicing as a psychotherapist anymore. I share the nature of reality, or what I understand it to be, or what I know it to be through my own direct experience. Whatever I share with you is there to enhance your understanding. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, throw it away. It's for free. All it's going to cost you is a bit of time in terms of using it to reinforce your understanding, or because you agree with it, or reinforce your understanding because you disagree with it. What you do with it is entirely your own. So what is Christ? And tonight's talk is really the miracle of returning to Christ-mindedness, or right-mindedness. Christ-mindedness, right-mindedness, same thing. Becoming Christ-minded. What does that mean? Before I go into what Christ-minded is what is Christ? What is the term Christ? Now, of course, it comes from the ancient term Christos, and Christos means the anointed one, or the awakened one. And that was really what the word Christos was meant to be used. And that's why people often use the word with the name Jesus, Jesus Christ, or Christ Jesus, because he took on the office of the Christ, the body of Christ, meaning he took on that awareness and brought it into the realm of mice and men. So Christ is a word to denote the Son of God. Now, of course, if you see it from a dualistic point of view, you ascribe it to one person, or maybe if you have a more open mind, you'll think there are more characters that have achieved Christhood. But in essence, Christ is the mind in which we appear. Now, the appearance of characters in that Christ mind appear in the part of the mind of the Christ mind that has fallen asleep. So Christ is really the extension of God, or to put it into a story so we humans can understand, because if it was just to talk about pure, unadulterated, undifferentiated energy ever expanding, we can't grasp it. We need a story to grasp to. So Christ is the Son of God, the extension of God, who shares his essential nature with God, because it's the extension of Christ's mind, God's mind. God's mind is pure energy, and it's a term to explain energy as thought. So Christ's mind is pure and innocent thought, the extension of God's pure and innocent mind. So Christ's mind is pure, undifferentiated awareness. And undifferentiated, really get into the word, Google it, look it up in the dictionary, undifferentiated. There's no difference. Therefore, there's no judgment. Therefore, it's unconditional. Therefore, it's all equal, one. It's undifferentiated awareness. Now, why does one have to add the word undifferentiated to awareness? Awareness is without differentiation. Awareness is pure, silent stillness extending. Because it's to emphasize the fact that there's very often certain teachers use the word awareness and consciousness synonymously. To me, consciousness is the realm of dream. We are characters in consciousness, dreaming mind. There's no character in awareness. Awareness is completely undifferentiated, pure energy. In Advaita, Christ is Atman. And Atman is Brahman, they say. And in Christianity, Father and Son are one. And as Jesus would say, I and my Father are one. Now, he's not saying I, Jesus, the Jiva character, the essence of what I am, and my Father's essence are one undifferentiated awareness, one undifferentiated spirit, ever extending. To us, body minds, the fractured parts of the dreaming mind, the Christ mind split, part of it dreams, a part of it split as in story. It's not split, can't split. Can't be split off from God, can't be split off from self. But a part of it dreams, just like when you dream at night. As you dream at night, you project yourself into your dream and you experience your dream from a localization in your dream. When you awaken, you are both that which dreamt and the character in the dream, and it all gets collapsed into you. And once you're awake, the characters are gone, the dream state is gone. And that's what is happening to the extension Son of God. A part of it remains awake, Christ. A part of it seemed to fall asleep, ego dreaming mind. So to us, the fractured parts of Christ's mind, or the extension of God, the Son of God's mind, we are activities remembering our truest self, our Christ self. Christ is the voice that calls us all to be ourselves. Now, why didn't the Course of Miracles say Christ is the voice for God? Why did it say Holy Spirit? Because at a certain level, when you enter this course from a dualistic point of view, you still needed a Jesus and a Holy Spirit and a God, Father, the Trinity. But in essence, God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit are one indivisible energy, spirit. So Christ is really the voice that calls you. So it's your true self calling you to be yourself. Now, at some stage, like many a course student does, is they think Christ is Jesus calling us from somewhere in the ether, spirit world maybe, and he's now channeled his voice through to Helen. And very often, especially when it refers to itself as I in the first person and speaks of the story of Jesus in the Course, the assumption is therefore Jesus channeled the Course. And in some cases, it's talking as we, and sometimes it's talking to us as the third person. Why? Because it's our mind, and that which was Jesus has been reabsorbed into the awake part of our mind. And from this awake state, it's the voice that calls us all. If you need the symbol Jesus in order to, because you're still in a dualistic mindset, great, by all means. But I have a tendency to be more direct as to what that voice is, and to make sure that you do not get trapped in the deity object subject relationship worship. So that part of the mind, and it's often, of course, in the Course, it's spoken as the masculine. His is the voice that calls all these fractured selves back into himself. So it's like you're awakening in the morning, and all the characters you dreamt of at night, you're calling them back into yourself so you can wake up to yourself. For unless his mind is fully returned to the primordial state of beingness, pure energy, God is incomplete with a part of himself that dreams, because God is pure awareness, pure awake awareness. Why? Because Father and Son are wholly one indivisible whole. Holy Spirit, completely pure energy, spirit. That's what the word spirit means, because 2,000 years ago, we had no idea what energy was. 360,000 years ago, we did. But of course, we dumbed ourselves down as soon as our forefathers went back to La La Land, space land. It took a couple of hundred generations, and we were stupid again. So Christ-mindedness. What does Christ-mindedness or miracle-mindedness means? It means a state of present moment awareness. Now, that word's come up, and you probably heard me say that. Those series of words, the first time I said that, I guess, was about 6 or 7 years ago, but I'm hearing more and more course teachers use it, which is beautiful, and it's out there. Please use it. Present moment awareness. So you're present in the moment, in the power of now, and you're fully aware of what? Pure awareness, undifferentiated awareness. So Christ-mindedness or miracle-mindedness is a state of present moment awareness. And that present moment awareness transcends understanding. Everything you understand is concept, people, places, things, and events, what God is, what you are, what the universe is, what non-duality. It transcends that understanding, which is fundamental. You have to understand it to be prepared to. Well, you don't have to. Those that follow the path of knowledge, jnani, the jiva, will need to understand for transcendence to happen. Why? Because they need to let go and let God. So this Christ-mindedness, this present state of present moment awareness, transcends understanding into knowing, total clarity within self. Can you prove it? No. Can't prove it. But you can share it, and people are aware of it when you enter a room and you're sharing the peace of God. So it transcends understanding into the knowing of our true essential self. And the minute you know that true essential self, you know that essential self is the extension of God's essential self. It's one indivisible shared beingness, not beingness. It's not singular, although it's singularity, ever extending, if that makes any sense. Of course, it sounds impossible to understand in humanistic terms, because it is. And you realize in that shared beingness, which you share with God and in God, you share with everything that appears and disappears in your dreaming mind, or what you call the universe. What Christ-mindedness does, or miracle-mindedness does, it doesn't make you all wishy-washy and shoo-wow, and you become a hippie and wear your grandmother's curtains and get an earring and grow your hair, dreadlocks, and drive a combi. That's play acting. What it does is, in your clarity of awareness, in your consciousness of being, in your awareness of eternity, it exposes the irreconcilable differences between illusions and absolute reality. Absolute reality, pure awareness. Christ consciousness, so the body-mind, that taps into its primordial awareness. So Christ consciousness, the dream character, then gives the character complete discernment, total clarity of discernment between the unreal and the unreal, the good, the bad, the good, what's good for you, what's not good for you, the useful and the useless, wisdom and peace. Notice I've said wisdom and peace. Wisdom isn't necessarily peace. Ask anyone that's new to the course and is gaining a whole lot of new wisdom. It's not peaceful because it's challenging everything you know. This is what I believe people like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Nisargadatta, Maharishi, Ramana Maharishi, Neem Karoli Baba, Sai Baba, and many others subsequently to them have accessed, have become in awareness, and then shared it or tried to share it, better word, with their so-called followers or students or annoying people that came and grabbed a piece of their cloth. And I've just said believe. I didn't say I know. No one can say they know, because I've never met them in character. I've read a lot of their teachings. I've read a lot of the narrative stories about their lives. Every story of Jesus is a narrative story. It's a narrative recording. It's narrative passed through word and then maybe written down. And even if you were to record a teacher with video, you still don't know what's going on. They can share with you, but you cannot have the direct experience that they're experiencing directly. Of course not. But as I transcend my humanness into the awareness we all are, and that doesn't make me any less human or any more special. In actual fact, it makes me way more fucked up than most, because then you're going to struggle to relate to what was once your reality, which is now your unreality. You know this is no longer real, but you still have to function as if you're on a stage and you're having to play out your role quite seriously because the other characters need you to play your role quite seriously. But I say believe because I don't know, but because of my own direct experience thereof and reading what they, and if I compare the two comparison, if I analyze that what I'm experiencing and what Ramana wrote about, or what is written about Jesus, or what's written about Buddha or Krishna, of course, later on, Lao Tzu, who wrote himself, now Ramana Maharishi, who wrote himself, Neem Karoli Baba didn't write anything. But you realize we're all, like I speak of the spokes of a bicycle that seem to go in separate directions, but when they converge, when they return back to the center hub, in the center hub, it's all going to sound exactly the same. And that's why no matter what true sage is saying what, it all ends up saying exactly the same. And very often why I question why I even say anything, because I'm simply repeating myself in different colors. Why isn't the teachings of the true non-dual teachings, the true conscious aware teachings, common knowledge there? Why isn't it part of school curriculum? Why isn't it spoken of openly? Well, because whenever these teachings come out, the powers at the time, or those in power, and subsequently since the beginning of time, those in power, try and keep this from the collective whole. Why? Because they need labor. They need people to work and build the pyramid and the cathedral and slave away in the fields for you. And why is that? Why do they want to keep the power to themselves? Why don't they want the masses to realize we're one indivisible self? Because they don't want you to think for yourself. How else do they control you? The world is controlled through religion. What do you think the conquests are about? The crusades are about? Why do we have to go to another country and get them to believe what we believe? Because the minute we can get them to believe what we believe, we can manage them in the way that we manage them. From a positive point of view, if I have a village and I get the entire village to behave in a certain way and believe in a certain way, and I have daughters, I can send them to the local pub and know that they're going to be taken care of by men who have the same values as I do, and our value is to protect women. But if I send them off to some place, to the market, and I don't believe the men in that market are going to treat my daughters in the same way as I would, then I don't feel safe. And so I'm either going to convert them or chop their heads off if they're not going to adhere to certain behavior. So if I conquer a new country, I'm going to have to convert them to my way of thinking so I can manage and judge them and scare them so they can behave in a certain way. God forbid everybody decides on freedom and we're going to just be a open free economy where we share and barter. Because then how do I create power if I want to be the leader? And that's the problem. People want to be leaders, not realizing no one should want to be a leader. You get elected. It's a natural predisposition in a group of people that one steps up when the collective are in agreement and need a direction. But those in power aren't natural born leaders. They may be natural born orators and bullshitters. They're not natural born leaders. They want to be in charge. True natural leaders have no desire to be in charge. They're generally the sigmas, not the alphas, not the betas, the sigmas. They're generally the lone wolves, the quirky ones, the strange ones. But the ones that when they see the difference needs to be made and direction needs to be taken, they're the ones that step up. So why would they do that? Why would the powers that be stop? What makes a person evil? The so-called 13 families of the whoever the hell they are, the ones that run the WHO and every other president in this world. What is it that they're so afraid of? Why do they want to control the masses? Because they believe that they are separate body minds. They believe we're all separated. They believe that we're ephemeral. We're all going to die. But if they can build legacy, their name continues through generations. Surprise, surprise. There's going to be some gooky kid along the bloodline that's going to ruin it all for you. So legacy really does mean fuck all. They don't want you to think for yourself. That's the bottom line. They want to control you. They want to control the collective whole. They want you to conform to a certain way of thinking, and they want to control you by you controlling each other. Because if they can create a norm that most agree to, those majority will control the rest and punish you if you don't. The monkey and the five monkeys in the cage with the one banana story. They're all well aware of a collective mindset. So they're already tapping into that. So there's a deeper, trust me, that these powers that be have a high intellect and a high wisdom and a high sense of conscious awareness. But they represent the most fearful thought in the dreaming mind. They are the representation of thought, fear thought in form. And by sharing this non-dual unity awareness, conscious awareness with the rest of humanity, their greatest fear is triggered. And what's their greatest fear? It's not of a collective awakening. They fear never having existed at all. That's the greatest fear of the ego mind. And then hence why ego mind requires a validation. It needs to be validated in order for it to believe it's real, because it knows it isn't. But if it can convince others that it is real, it then convinces itself. It's what humans do all the time. People pleasing. And unfortunately for those powers that be, the knowledge of these sages and these beautiful brothers and sisters that came before us, that accessed and became aware of awareness itself, reality or absolute reality and the teachings, the nature of absolute reality was shared. And this absolute reality, the awareness of absolute reality as shared by them, is their true knowledge, the knowledge of God. And it spreads. And as this knowledge spreads, of course, it first gets leaked out. Imagine 2,000 years ago, it was a handful of people. And as soon as it gets shared, it makes its way around. But you can only share the understanding thereof. You cannot share the direct experience thereof. You can even take people through a direct experience process. You can't experience it for them. And as soon as it starts being shared by the one who's accessed it, in other words, imagine a Ramana Maharishi, and he's sitting in a circle and he's got a bunch of followers. He's sharing the direct experience of this. No one in the audience gets it. It's impossible unless they have the direct experience for themselves. So all a teacher really does, a Jesus, a Buddha, a Ramana Maharishi, is they point. They road signs. They're pointing in the same direction, inwards. And as soon as that so-called teacher dies, their teachings do spread and get written down. But then there's someone that's going to want to take over the monastery or take over the ashram. And that's how religions are formed. Religion is what is left behind when the true essential essence of that Christed mind in form leaves this world. And those teachings then get shared. And what is it? It becomes concept, ideas, ideologies, dogma, religion. That's what religion is. It's the remnants of the beautiful teachings of those that ascended duality into Christ consciousness and shared it. And now you've got people 100 years later, you've got rules and societies forming, and then they start disagreeing and they split off and they protest too much. And the Protestants are born. And before you know it, then it's the Methodists. And then it just goes reborn. Gook show. What you're realizing now is more and more so-called holy men, men of the cloth, ministers, rabbis, those are accessing non-dual awareness because it's being spread. And some of them are heavily incorporating it into their religions, into their teachings, into their churches, into their monasteries. Others get to a point where they just have to put their old ways down because they cannot reconcile the two. There's no right and wrong. I just like pulling the piss out of Christians. It's so much fun. I mean, they were only persecuted 2,000 years ago. Someone has to do it now. I mean, they've had a sort of scot-free for 2,000 years. What are they really sharing? They're sharing their, and it's just again going to be symbols twice removed, concessions for the joy of the infinite joy of being, the infinite lightness of being. And they're going to try and share how they accessed this conscious awareness, this Christ-mindedness, this right-mindedness. But it's symbols twice removed. And you can be in that proximity. And when you're in that proximity, you're going to feel an overwhelming sense of peace and perhaps even joy. But it's not them doing it. It's you open to being aware of awareness itself. And that's what they're sharing, is they're sharing their awakening to self sequence. And what is awakening to self, or death of the little ego, death of little self, or awakening to big S self? It's really being aware. What is awakening is becoming aware, and becoming is again a concession and a terrible word, but you're not becoming. But you're becoming aware of the Christ mind, right-minded awareness, of undifferentiated awareness, one indivisible self. You realize the essence, the life force that travels through you, travels through everything, and it's shared. And that energy that travels through you is the extension of God, of source energy, pure energy, God's infinite, unconditional, indivisible, loving energy, or mind, God's mind. We can relate to God's mind. Energy, but wishy-washy. And this is important to get. This awakening to self sequence is not a goal with a finishing line. It's a continuous connection. It's that glimpse, that holy glimpse. You've had that holy instant. Once you've had the glimpse, you cannot go back. If you've never tasted ice cream, after one lick, you're hooked. That's it. You've tasted it now. You know what it tastes like. You can look at it and people can describe it and tell you, imagine once you've had one lick of vanilla ice cream, you're hooked. Well, I was. Who doesn't love ice cream? So once that connection has been established, it continues to intensify, even if you deny it. It calls you. And those that deny that holy instant awareness, that's when life really turns the fuck upside down. Emphasis on the fuck. It really beats you the fuck up properly. Why? Because you've had a glimpse and it now calls you and you're denying it. But you're aware of it. And now the flux between that holy instant and your everyday hell gets further and further apart. And people fight it. But you've had a glimpse into eternity. Whether you believe in the ocean or not, you put your foot in it, it gets wet. But if you're willing to follow that voice, and it's not going to be an instant awakening to 99.99% of the body-mind characters. To the occasional one, it has been cultivated through reincarnation. But once that connection is made, and you really seek the peace of God above all else, when you really want to return to that infinite lightness of joyful being, if you cultivate it, if you anchor yourself into it, if you anchor this connection through perpetual vigilance, constant, keep your lanterns burning. Thief always comes through the back door in the middle of the night. And gratitude and abidance, grateful abidance. And you try and bring it into every present moment awareness. And whenever something tempts you, when an obstacle to peace, when a forgiveness lesson comes, I am Goddess. And you cultivate this connection. I wish it for everyone on this planet. That's all I can tell you. It's just, don't worry about your character. You're not going to lose your special set of accounting skills or abilities to fly an aircraft or be a medical doctor or do surgery. You're not going to stop playing the piano and go and do hands-on healing. You're not going to give up everything and go run a soup kitchen. Don't worry about that. That's for the movies and the lost in translation people. your natural passionate talents that you were born with, God-given, Christ-given, to be more accurate, will just flourish because you'll passionately pour yourself into all of yourselves with complete and unadulterated compassion, not empathy, compassion. The foundation of this connection is pure, undifferentiated awareness. There's no where I end and you start. Love is the absence of bodies. Love is the absence of a you and I. Love is the essence of where we abide. And so you realize that the very core foundation of this is our true essential nature, without a shadow of a doubt. There's nothing. You can't sway it. And you realize that this essential nature, this essence energy, which is source energy, of which the true I am is made from, before there was a need for an I am, is created from. Made is the wrong word. This is true. This awareness is true self-love. Self-love is not taking you off to a retreat and getting yourself massaged. That's fun. But this self-knowledge is self-love. And the self-love is self-knowledge. It's the knowledge of self and Father as one indivisible self. It cannot be learned, although you could be coaxed gently by reading and attending and listening in that inward direction to a place you've never left. A journey without distance. A journey without distance to a place you've never left, through a time that doesn't exist, only to awaken to the absolute reality you've always been in and look back and go, I had a silly dream where I forgot to laugh. And the only way to do this, you're not going to learn it. You're going to remember. You're literally unlearning all the old programs, filters to peace. The veils get deveiled, if there's such a word, as you become more and more aware of the awareness you are. This awareness which is ever present, perpetually present. And it's this awareness of the all-pervading essence, energy, love of God, light, infinite lightness of being. Words are failing me. I'm throwing so many words at it because it's indescribable. Is actually what is continuous meditation. It's pure awareness. Meditation is awareness. You chop water, fetch fish, feed the kittens, and the awareness is there. Or you sit and the awareness is there. You watch a movie, the awareness is there. You go to a footy game, the awareness is there. You ride your motorcycle, the awareness is there. Someone cuts in front of you, fuck you, the awareness is still there. And then you laugh. Who just said that? Who just said fuck you? This true meditation is an awareness of an ever-pervading, gentle lightness of being, this life force, this energy that makes your heart beat and makes it stop one day so that you don't have a body anymore, so that you can return to the energy, either temporarily in the wrong mind, spirit world, first dream, or dissolve from it and return that energy, that thought stream back to the right mind, which extends the right mind and dissolves the shadowy world of the spirit world and the projected physical world. Where little characters just run around dancing in the dark to the echoes of eternity. That's really what we're dancing to. Or music is just echoes of eternity playing out through what we think is melody. And this present moment awareness can only be maintained through the practice of continuous forgiveness. Forget about thinking you're going to be abiding in Aum Chiki-boom Ramana Maharashi retreat. You're going to go off to the mountain, close your eyes and sit like this because you don't know why you do it, but the shadows and the shadows and the statues do that. So everybody does this, no fucking knowing what it means. Really what it was, I want to bring clarity as to what they were doing. And back in those days, they had no idea how to hold a cigarette. So they used to hold a cigarette like that and the incense in the other hand. And then, or maybe the lighter was in the other hand, Stop doing that. The fuck you doing? Stupid. Just parrots. Just parrot. Cross your legs. Fuck, you've invented the chair 2,000 years ago and you want to sit on the floor with your bum. It's just silly. Be aware. True meditation is pure awareness. Awareness of every present moment. The old jiva, the record is still playing. You're still getting angry. You're still getting upset. You're still getting horny. You're still getting jealous. You're still getting whatever. You're not judging it. You look at it, you see it, and you let it go. And continuous forgiveness, continuous forgiveness, continuous forgiveness. And eventually, in your little body-mind life, the past dissolves completely. So what is to forgive? It's to forget illusions. To forgive is to forget illusions. So they don't come back from the ether somewhere and trigger you again. Then once you've sufficiently wiped that slate of your miserable fucking life, because that's what it is, that's why you're here. No one's here because they were born happy. If you were born happy, they've institutionalized you by now. Nice jacket, pads on the back. Too fucking happy for society. So you were born miserable. It's why you're a spiritual person. Spiritual people weren't born happy. If they were happy, they wouldn't be spiritual. They'd be out there playing. Only miserable people become spiritual. Fact. By my observation. Maybe only in South Africa, maybe in Europe, spiritual people were born happy. Maybe it's special up north there because they're closer to the northern lights. Maybe. And this is the deepest, darkest Africa where the sun shines permanently and winters are really short. It's only once those thoughts are sufficiently subsided. They'll never be quiet. It's not the purpose of meditation anyway. You can't. Don't even try. But once you have true sovereignty, true mastery over no thanks, then you're ready for the direct path. Because now you're able to see it, catch it. No, it's not you thinking. You're just a radio receiver device picking up the collective thoughts of sin, fear, and guilt broadcasted by the dreaming mind who is afraid to awaken to itself because it's imagined a vengeful God. The God that's become the God of the Bible, the God of the religions. Once you're ready for the true self-inquiry, the direct inquiry, you only need to do it once, maybe twice, at worst 3 times, maybe 10. Because it's to whom do these thoughts appear? And once you really investigate and look for the source of those thoughts, those obstacles to peace thoughts, those unforgiven mirrored thoughts back at you, once you find the source of the origin of their source, you realize there is no origin. And then when you find the one who witnesses those thoughts, you realize the witness of the thought and the origin of the thought are identical, and yet neither exist because you are beyond that which witnesses. You're only a witness while you dream, because when you awaken to self, what are you witnessing? You're replaying your dreams 4 hours after you've woken up in the morning? No, you've moved on with your life. You've moved on in present moment awareness and you've applied yourself. Thought is for dream time. Awake time is for sharing all of yourself with the rest of yourself. And once you've discovered the origin of thought and the witness, well, that's it. You can't go back to thinking you're still the witness observing or this jiva trapped in body-mind identity. It's gone. It's over. You're going to try and play again and put a mask to be able to play on. You put on a mask to be able to play. I have to often put on a mask to go play CEO. Put on a mask to go and play motorcycle chapter president. Helmets do help because then I can just smile while I sound like Batman. But it's over. You can't go back to thinking you're this. And once you recognize what this isn't and what is true, you realize one indivisible self. And all of that pressure of awakening to self, or that, remember that old religious stuff where you're going to die and go to hell, maybe. And if you're good, you're going to go and sit on the right hand of the Father. Nobody on the left, only on the right. That stuff's over. That pressure to one day, in the future, I will be. All the pressure's gone. I don't have to awaken quickly. Everything we're doing is to bring ourselves in the present moment to the present moment, joyful lightness of being. The purpose of this clarity of understanding, of knowing, it's not to become a better individual who achieves all their worldly goals and all your dreams come true. It's about getting and gaining this glimpse you've had and bringing it perpetually into your awareness permanently. Bringing this, our immortal Christ-minded nature into this world, establishing a perpetual connection with it, with our true right mind, operating and being grounded in our right mind, being aware of what we truly are all the time, and realizing these fractures of ourselves are on a similar path to what we've been, all awakening at their own time, and we're not there to go to preach to them. We're not there to create another religion and hoax them and coax them to come to us and give them the money while we tell them what's right and wrong. It's now about pouring yourself lovingly into every present moment and bringing the lightness, the joyous lightness of being of true service, giving a smile, giving a kind word, giving guidance where possible without giving your opinion. This pure primordial awareness, this pure primordial energy, which is Christ's mind, which is Atman, Brahman are one, Christ and Father are one, cannot but help spread. It becomes like the felt fire, and it just burns spontaneously. It just burns away all illusion and brings light, the lightness of being into all of it. Don't believe a single word I'm telling you. I could be talking the biggest load of bullshit, maybe true for me, but complete bullshit. Unless you experience it for yourself, it's absolutely meaningless. Trust me. And realize I'm still this character. It doesn't become all soft and gentle and smile. Fuck it, if I smile, it looks like I'm about to kill something. No, me smiling. Unless you want 11 minutes. This is my primary function. And was I given this function? No, I've chosen it. Was it scripted? Perhaps. I think so. But it's my function. And it's certainly the primary function of any unity awareness or non-dual teaching, such as the Course in Miracles, Advaita Vedanta, Upanishads, the Mahavakyas, most definitely, the Tao Te Ching, the Tibetan and the Egyptian Book of the Dead, two separate books, saying the same thing, just about. Gospel of Thomas, Now Mahdi Desert, the Scrolls, Dead Sea Scrolls, and many of those mystical Christian teachings and works, such as Meister Eckhart, John of the Cross, true Christians, because the church beat them up. And also, of course, the passed on narrative teachings of great sages, great teachers like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, the skinny Buddha. The fat one was made up. It's actually a scrawny little runt. Neem Karoli Baba. Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. Magnificent. Neem Karoli Baba. If I look at his face, I'm out of myself. All he owned is a blanket. Nisargadatta. Nisargadatta. Man, what a teacher. Makes me want to light up a cigarette. Hell, he owned a few cigarette shops. I'm smoking because Nisargadatta is being channeled through me right now, and he's telling me to tell you all, take up cigarettes. It's good for you. Did I say that this talk was PG-45? Once we know what we are, once we know the essential nature of what we are, not who, this peaceful joy pours through us, pours through from our true Christ self into every moment. And it pours it in a state of total, passionate, loving, caring energy. And it just pours. You want to share it with everybody, but you don't, because not everybody's ready. So you share it at the level they're ready at. I'm not designed to share it at any other level. So I rather be quiet and just give a helping hand. This is really true compassion for all our fractured self. We act from a state of unity awareness. We realize you're a fractured part of me. And I want to raise you to this awareness, even if it is just by helping you change your car tire. I don't have to tell you how to change your life or preach to you. Just the true passion of the Christ. And you realize that as this witness that is losing its witnessing and becoming the I am, which is going to dissolve into the joyful lightness of being. As I light up, I'm lighting it up exactly the way it's meant to, at the pace it's meant to, and that's all I need to do. And do I concern myself anymore if I'm going to now reincarnate again and have to do it all again? Fuck, I hope I'm coming back because I want to share this again and again and again until every last fractured part of myself has awoken to our indivisible shared Christ self. How can I not? Why do I want to go? My brother Jesus 2,000 years ago got it right and returned to the right mind. There's one connection established. I'm established my connection with that part of myself that was my brother Christ, Jesus. And now someone needs to come and demonstrate I'm willing to do it for another 200 billion years if need be. Hey, next time around, I'm coming back taller. Remember, no individual awakens. Collectively, we're the lava lamp effect. And as it heats up, it bubbles to the surface and cools back down. And after enough heating up, it becomes one big bubble at the top. And then there's no point anymore. Might as well switch off the lamp. It's not entertaining us anymore. It's gathered as one indivisible glob of awareness at the top of the lava lamp. One indivisible self. And once that self is awakened to self, it knows itself and its source are one. I and my Father are one. And then we stop in that awareness. You stop, there's no more past replaying. Whoever you trusted, didn't trust, whatever, it's gone. You still make jokes. I make jokes about horror movies and getting married. Same thing. It's still funny. It's nothing serious. Be careful. Don't follow the Buddhist path. Yes, I'm saying it. Don't become dispassionate. Become non-attached. Don't detach. Don't try and force yourself, because if you have to give it up, I seek mercy, not sacrifice, he taught us. Mercy, forgiveness, not sacrifice. You'll put it down when it no longer serves you. If you had told this character that he was going to stop going to the racetrack 5 years ago, he would have shot you in the head with a slingshot. There's no way I would have given up the racetrack. Now, there's no point going around in circles nowhere faster. There's nothing to prove anymore. There's nothing to chase. I'm not looking for peace or peace which you gain from zoning in. Why would you want to go anywhere when peace of God is already all you are? There's no need to go anywhere. That's why I'm not going to travel the world and teach. So I think. There's no need. I'm not teaching anyway. I'm just sharing what I know with all of myself. There's no one to convert. I didn't trust people at all. I thought there was a crook around every corner. I thought life was a threat every day. Now I trust my brothers who are one with me. That's what this awareness does. It dissolves the fear. It dissolves the guilt. It dissolves the suspicion. It dissolves any thought of the future, because it's always now. And I know that now is what brings about more of it. But I'm also aware that, like ebbs and tides, don't expect positivity to be continuous. I'm going to talk about that next week. The illusion of positivity and the fakeness of positivity. Or sometimes it gets called today toxic positivity. I'll talk about it next week. Things come and go, yin and yang. Sometimes it's tough, but the awareness, the all-pervading awareness of what I am doesn't shift. And that's why whatever's happening, you don't react like you used to. And if there's, like I said, someone cuts you off in the traffic, and in the past you'd go, wow, fuck you. Now it might still scream it subconsciously. You go, oh, you laugh at it. You now know it's just a record playing in the background. It's not you anymore. What you are is the awareness of all of it. And then you pour, because when you pour yourself into the present moment awareness and you're fully present in whatever action you're doing from a state of undifferentiated awareness, from a place of total compassionate Christ mind nature, miracle mindedness, the joyous lightness of being is there, and you light up with the joy of God. And what else would you want? Everything you've ever wanted in life, every moment of pleasure and joy you've had when you acquired and gained certain things and positions and places, that becomes an all-pervading state of awareness. When you have ice cream in your mouth, you don't look for the next ice cream. You've got it in your mouth. It's right here with you. When this all-pervading awareness is you, there's no more searching. It's just a pouring in and a sharing of. Let me ask you a question, and I'll leave you with this one. If you could only have one of the following three, which one would you most desire? 1, worldly wisdom. 2, spiritual wisdom. Or 3, peace. Give that some thought. Because when you have peace, what you once pursued, worldly wisdom or spiritual wisdom, it's why you sought it. It's why you followed in that direction. Once you have it, having and being are the same thing. Once you have it, you want to share it, because sharing is caring, and caring is the caring of self or itselves as one indivisible self, as the extension of one God, one self, one spirit, one Holy Spirit, one undifferentiated awareness, the infinite lightness of being. Thanks for joining me. Have a blessed week.